Hi, and welcome back to Rick's Room. Now, this is the show that kind of recreates that feeling at the end of a busy conference where you finally get to sit down and talk to someone you've been wanting to talk to all day. In this case is my good friend, Lynn Potyen. She is the founder and the president. She owns the GameBoard in Sheboygan. Now, if you haven't heard about the GameBoard, it just means that you're not paying any attention. This company and this woman has won awards on a national level, level, locally for years. She's been in business 18 years. Lynn, thank you for being with me today.
19.
19. I'm already behind. That's fantastic.
Okay.
That's fantastic. So anyone that reads anything about retail or the gaming industry or board games already knows your story. And we don't have the time to show. But in the show notes, we're going to put some links to some interesting things. What I want to catch up with you about today is a number of things, but primarily your recent award. You were recently recognized among the top female entrepreneurs in the state of Wisconsin. It was a great ceremony. I was thrilled to be there. Tell us about that, how that came to be.
I was nominated and selected for this incredible award. It's the Women of Influence Award. And there are 8 positions that are awarded out, and one of them is business owner. And so very excited to get a chance to be up there with these other 7 women that are just incredibly influential in their worlds. They are making changes, and they are just inspiring, very inspiring women. It was an amazing day, and we get to listen to speeches being made by each of these women, including myself, which I cried through mine. I'm not ashamed to say that it was very emotional. But there were some amazing speeches that were like just world shaking and moving. And so it was very fun to be there, to get to share it with my friends and family. Thank you, Rick, again, for being there with me. It was wonderful to share the table with you and to have you there by my side. So
I was thrilled.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. I mean, this group included all kinds of, but there were doctors up there, people with PhDs, people in the nonprofit world, you in the business world. And what shocked me, all the stories of the hardships that these women overcame to get to their position, I had no idea. Honestly, I don't think I'm living under a rock, but I was amazed at what, and it wasn't just one industry or one class or one type or even one race. It was women in general. How are we going to change that as a society, and what are people like you, Lynn, doing to change that?
I think getting up every morning and still showing up is a really important first step. Calling it out when it happens to you. And the it is ever changing. So it's as simple as having a bank tell you that you need permission from your spouse to get a loan. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's actually illegal. They can't ask us to have permission. We can definitely have our spouse on our paperwork, but we don't need to ask their permission. These things went out in the 70s when women got the rights to use credit cards. And at the time in 1970, I was 4. I'm 59. Like, oh my God, are we still doing this?
That's why it shocked me. That's why, yeah. I've got, Lynn, I've got a 22-year-old daughter. So this is really important to me. I don't want her to deal with that. So what's happening that you see or that you're helping to change that? How can we change that?
Yeah. So, that's, I think, the starting point is like really trying to make sure that everything that is being said to women, kind of put that filter on there. Would you say this to a man? Would you do this to a man if it was in the same position? Because I'm not treated because I'm a business owner or a successful business owner or a business owner that's made it through many recessions and global crises. Oh no, I am looked at because I'm a woman. owns
That's
a game
amazing.
store? That's so cute. I've literally had people say it's cute that I own a store. And I'm like, you have no idea of the global influence I've
Oh my
had in this
God.
industry.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But
let's talk
it's
about
cute.
that for a little bit. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because I've loved games my whole life. I've loved board games, but I have never looked at them the way you do until I met you. You have a whole different approach to why we play these games and why we must. Tell us about that.
So, the whole story is because of my son. So we weren't going to get into that. But I feel that games are an influential way for people to socially and academically be able to be successful. And so by using games at home, out in the community, in the classroom, in business settings, we are helping educate people. And we're doing it in a safe and controlled environment. We're giving them knowledge of social ways to handle the situations. We're giving them fun and enlightenment. And we're giving them product knowledge. We're giving them knowledge about situations that maybe they would never get a chance to do. A great example, there's a game out there called Spill. And the Spill is all about an oil spill and how you're going to take care of the ocean and the animals that are being influenced by this oil spill. And so, as a group of you're working cooperatively, you're trying to save the ocean and the animals. This isn't something that any of us are going to go out and do, but like now you have some understanding of the fear, the anxiety that happens, the concern, the importance of this action, and you just played a board game. It's board games are so different from when we were kids, right? So in the 50s and 60s, our whole world was it was designed by the commercials we watched on Saturday morning cartoons because TV was an up and coming thing. TV commercials were up and coming. And so it's a great way to get parents to start buying things, was influence them through
Hmm,
children's commercials. Um,
right.
but what this did was it influenced generations of people to believe that games are for children, whereas the rest of the world, anywhere outside of America, games are for everybody. It is a way for people to connect and educate, and like the chance of you to just sit there and play a game because you're a kid isn't there anywhere else but in America.
Yeah, yeah. Now you wrote a chapter for a book that's in the Library of Congress now, and I read your chapter. Well, I read the whole book, but in your chapter, you tell a story that convinced me that playing games isn't just something we kind of should do in our culture. It's core. Tell us
Mm.
about that.
Well, there is many stories in that book, Mister. Are we talking
The
about
one
the
about the
lady?
old,
The
yes, the one
lady?
about the old man. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that hit me.
Yeah, that's a heart wrenching story. We were at a Spark program, and there was a gentleman there with his wife. She had not spoken for probably 2.5 years at that point. Um, she has dementia. She's since passed, but he was in the final throes of being with her. She was in the position where she was no longer wanting to be touched. She no longer wanted to communicate. And the only thing she would do was hum. She would just hum. And the more agitated she would become, the more she would louder hum. So we started playing a game called Thumbs Up. It's not being produced here in the States currently, but it is a European game. And it's a situation where he would have a card in front of him. He would read off colored objects on the card in numeric order and ask her to put that color ring on his thumb. But by doing this, his thumb was the one that was up. She would have to put the ring over his thumb, but in doing so, she's touching him. She's having connection. And as they're connecting a little bit more and a little bit more, her hand started lingering before she'd pull it away. So she would put and then she would just linger there for a minute. And it became more and more. And it was such a beautiful moment. But she suddenly stops humming and she turns and she looks at him and she says, "Do you remember we used to play games at the cabin?" And he said, "I do remember." And she said, Oh, I loved that. And they went back to playing, and she
Oh my
started
God.
reading it.
Oh
And
my
she died.
God. That's,
She died soon after that. Like it was within the next
oh,
6 months she passed. And he said
oh
it was the
man.
last time she ever spoke to him. By using board games and card games, the way we can connect with people. I love when I get children at the table who don't
Mhm.
like each other in a classroom, and you put them
Right.
at the table and you help them learn respect and and perspective of each other, and suddenly they become friends. What a concept.
I love it, Lynn. And I love what you're doing in our community here in Sheboygan. Anyone who's visited here and not been to the game board on 8th Street, you have no idea what you're missing out on. It's fantastic. But even more than that, Lynn, what you're doing in families' homes. And I know we kind of got this started in COVID when we were all locked in together. But the return of family game night is, in my opinion, one of the best things that has happened to my family and a lot of people I know. How do you encourage people, or what do you suggest to people that want to do that kind of family bonding when they come into your store?
We started something a number of years ago, and one of the things we say, people will come in because they think it's a game store. I can come in and play a game, and I reference back. We are a game store, but we want you to play everywhere. We want you to play in your home. We want you to play at work. We want you to play at the coffee shop. We want everybody to be playing games. And so you don't have to just play in my space. This isn't like football where you have to go to a football field. You can play this anywhere. Just take the time to do that. And I feel like that empowerment, that giving them permission to sit outside and play a game and invite the neighbor. I mean, we did that back in the 1920s and 30s. You'd play
Yeah,
dominoes on your front porch. We all
right.
know about cribbage because this is Wisconsin. People love
Yeah,
cribbage. Get back to playing games together. And it doesn't have to be cribbage, and it doesn't have to be dominoes. It can be Flamecraft and Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards. Like it's
right.
still connection. It's someplace where you're all getting joy.
Lynn, I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm definitely going to have you back on the show probably before the holiday season because I need to talk to you about how to curate a family game library.
Ooh,
That should be our next topic, right?
that's a whole new one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Thank you, Lynn, for being with me in
Thank
this
you.
room, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.